Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to another episode of What Makes This Game Great. Today, we're going way back to the birth of one of the biggest franchises in gaming history. Today, we're looking at the game, The Legend of Zelda. Let's get right into it. The Legend of Zelda is an action-adventure game that was developed and released by Nintendo for the Nintendo Entertainment System way back in February of 1986. It was a big departure from games that came before it, such as the ones on the Atari, and it was one of the games that Nintendo was hoping would set it apart from the previous generations, and of course, help the video game industry recover from the crash of 1983. When my brothers and I got our first Nintendo Entertainment System for Christmas, we got the Super Mario Bros. Duck Hunt pack-in game with it, and we got The Legend of Zelda. I played this game so much as a child, and I loved it, and I still love it today. It's an amazing game, especially when you consider what came before it. I mean, the Atari had adventure games, but they were more like games where you would move a block around a screen, and the only differentiation between the screens is the background color. So it'd be red or blue or yellow, and it would just be moving around, and you could maybe pick up an item like a key to get you into another area. And it was ridiculous. It was terrible. This game really opened up the adventure and, for that matter, paved the way for role-playing games. Games like Dragon Warrior or Dragon Quest and even Final Fantasy, because it does have some of those elements in it. So I played this game so much, and I loved this game so much, that when I did a recent playthrough to post on the channel, I didn't actually have to go back and look at any walkthroughs or Zelda wikis or what have you to remember where the items are. In fact, I'm pretty sure that when I'm old and gray and in a home somewhere, and I can't even remember my own name, if somebody boots this game up in front of me, I'll remember all the good spots for all the good items. It's that ingrained in my DNA from just playing it so much. Anyway, let's get back to the review part, and then we're going to talk about the things that make this game really great. This game contains a large overworld as well as 9 underworld levels that you have to complete. The overworld is accessible pretty much right from the start. There are only 2 areas that you can't get to right from the start of the game. They require the raft. But all the other areas you can actually get to. The only thing that will hold you back is your skill level and the strength of your character, because as you get to tougher areas, they have tougher monsters, and of course they do more damage and take more damage themselves, and you'll find yourself getting killed rather easily. But as you go through the levels, you're getting more strength, and it's got that RPG element where you're not gaining levels and gaining experience so much as you are gaining more life hearts and better weapons, and that will allow you to access tougher areas more easily, of course. Also, all the levels can be entered right from the start, and they can actually be done in any order, although I do suggest you do take them in the order that they are in. Now, the only levels that you can't get to right from the start are level 4, you need the raft to get into, level 7, you need the recorder to get into, and level 9, because you have to complete all the first 8 levels in order to enter level 9 and finish the game. In addition to the underworld and the overworld, there's a lot of things that are accessible from the overworld, such as shops, little caches of money, and gambling sites even, like caves where you can gamble, as well as caves where if you enter the area, the guy inside will take money, because he'll accuse you of destroying his door and he needs to repair it. So there's a lot of secrets in this game, but some of them are good, some of them are bad, but none of them are really fatal. As you progress through the game, the challenge level does increase, and in fact you will see a big difference between
levels 5 and level 6. Around that area is where you really see a jump in the level of difficulty. And that's mainly because of the introduction of the wizards. The wizards in this can be really painfully, they're tough, they move around a lot, and they're really they take a lot of hits to kill. But besides that, and besides those guys, the difficulty level ramps up pretty good, pretty fairly. It's just watch out for those wizards, because boy, they are tough.
So even though this game does have some really difficult levels near the end, and it really scales up in the difficulty, I still think this game is a great game. In fact, I don't even notice it except for some of the annoyance factors, like I mentioned, those wizards with the blue ones in particular that move around the screen. You don't run into them that often. You run into them in level 6. I think you run into them in level 8. You certainly run into them in level 9. But it's not every room. They're not filling every room. And if you get your magic shield, you can deflect their attacks. But besides that, I have really no complaints about this game. This game is a wonderful game. But what really truly makes this game stand out, and what truly makes this game great, is coming up right now. So stick to the end. I'm going to have some tips for beginners, especially, since you can still play this game on the Switch through the Switch store or whatever, you can download it or play it on the Switch store or the NES Classics. So go back and play it. But listen, if you like this kind of content and you want to see more, give me that thumbs up, because that tells me that, people are liking what I'm doing here. And check out the other What Makes This Game Great episodes. I'd really appreciate that. And if you like my channel, if you like the content, please subscribe, because I'm going to be watching some more series in the future. So please hit the subscribe button, and I really appreciate it. It's only one small button push for you. It means a world to me, especially just starting out. Anyway, let's get into what makes Zelda stand out from all the other games of its time.
So the first thing that really makes this game stand out is the number of secrets in it. Almost every single area in the overworld has a secret. Either a tree that can be burned down, a block that can be moved, or an area that can be bombed that will open a secret entrance to something. Whether it's a gambling site, whether it's a new shop, whether it's a heart container, whether it's one of the people that give you money or one of the people that take money away from you. There are secrets everywhere. But unlike the other games in this franchise, there's no cracks in the wall to show you where these secrets are. There's nothing making the trees look different. You have to find all these areas for yourself. And I think that is an amazing thing, especially because these are secrets. They're supposed to be secret. You're not supposed to be able to see the cracks in the wall and know, oh, that's where I put a bomb. No, you're supposed to experiment. You're supposed to find out on your own. Or, nowadays you can just go online and pull a walkthrough, but really, it does add a lot to it, especially with replay value, because maybe you didn't collect everything the first time through. Maybe you want to go back and make sure you get all those heart containers this time. Which brings me to the next thing. The next thing is this game has a second quest. The overworld in the second quest looks the same, has the same monsters, the same layout. However, all the levels are changed around. The entrances to the levels are in different places. And the levels themselves, the underworld levels, are different themselves, which adds another replayability. And the difficulty level in the second quest, especially in those underworld levels, has been increased significantly. In fact, as much as I played this as a kid, I didn't actually beat the second quest of this until I got my NES mini system probably about 3 or 4 years ago. Until then, I'd only gotten through this first quest. I'd never been able to beat the second quest, and I finally got through it, and I'm really proud of that because it is a tough second quest. and it does have a lot of challenge to it. So for these reasons, this game gets that big replayability again. And that's something I always look for in a great game is, are you going to replay it? Are you going to play it once and then forget about it? Maybe it was fun the first time, but games that you go back to over and over and over again, those are great games. And they need some sense or some structure around how do we make this replayable. And this game has that in spades, and every game on the what makes this game great has that in spades, with other things as well mixed in. But really, for the time period, this game was an absolute breakout from what came previously, and really, Nintendo has built a huge franchise on this, and they've released so many games, and so many people love these games. It really is something that you should go back to and see where the beginnings are for yourself. If you don't have a Nintendo Mini, but maybe you've got a Switch, you can get it on the Switch store for free, or I don't know if it's a Switch store, but you can play it for free on the Switch. So give it a try. It's really, really worth it. But now I'm going to give you a couple tips, especially for beginners, on how to really jumpstart your play and really get into this. Okay, thanks.
So now we're at the tip section. So if you're just starting at this game, you haven't played it before, but you want to see where the future games got their start, good on you, please play it. But before you hit that level 1, before you get into level 1, get the silver sword. So to get the silver sword, you got to get some bombs, you got to get the candle, and there's 3 heart containers you have to get that silver sword. When you have 6 heart containers, you can get the silver sword. It's much better than your wooden sword, and it'll give you a great start going into level 1, level 2, level 3. It'll give you a great start. It's a bit of a jaunt around the world to get these 3 heart containers that are accessible to you right from the start. But I recently did a walkthrough, 5 videos, a walkthrough of the first quest of The Legend of Zelda, and I'm going to post the link to the first episode of that, or the first walkthrough, part of the walkthrough, in the description below. So go to that link, watch the first part of that video, and it'll tell you where to get those items right up to the silver sword, and it'll show you where to go to find level 1. In the manual for the original Legend of Zelda, when you bought the game, it did tell you where to get to level 1 and how to get to level 2. So I'm not really giving much away here, except the location of those 3 heart containers, and of course the bombs, the candle, how to get those, and where the silver sword is. So go get those. The other tip I have, and this is well known, but it might not be known if you're a beginner. If you run a real challenge and you want to skip the first quest altogether and go right to the second quest, I don't really advise it if you've never played the game before. However, if you do want that extra challenge, instead of putting your name in, entering your name in as whatever, Jason or David or John or Dick Weed or whatever you want to name yourself, instead of doing that, what you need to do is you need to put the name Zelda in. Zelda. Simple as that. It'll skip the first quest, take you right to the second quest. The second quest of this, of course, like I mentioned, the overworld looks the same, the monsters on it are the same, but all the levels are changed around. All the underworld levels are much tougher, with much tougher enemies. And, of course, all the secrets are moved around as well. So it's a little harder to get those gems at the start. It's a little harder to get those heart containers at the start. They're in different places. So if you want that extra challenge, go ahead, skip the first quest, go right to the second quest. Once again, I don't advise it if you've never played it, but hey, that's up to you. So I really want to give my appreciation for watching this video. I hope you like the content. I like producing the content, and I'm going to keep producing the content. So if you like it, once again, give that thumbs up. That tells me that people are actually liking this content, because really I have no other indication. And if you like all the content on my channel, check it out. And if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button, and it'll come up in your feed. So anyway, have a great day. I'll talk to you later. See you in the next episode. Thank you very much for watching.